K-pop, many love them, and by many I meant shower haters. The only similarity between a weeb and a K-pop fan is that both have a arch-nemesis named soap, a powerful holy relic that is constantly used to wage war against these anti-toilet specialists. Hence the manhwa we are bringing to you today. Hopefully they will realize that brushing their teeth will not cause them any harm.
That's smart shit.
So with deodorant in your hand for self-defense, let's begin our recap. Ever since she is a little girl, she can never ignore a cat or a dog. But even someone as meddlesome as her never imagines this young, cool guy wrapping himself around her. He is actually asking her to take him in, as he has no other place to go, and in return he is going to fill her every part that feels empty till the last drop. This guy seems too much to handle. At the office, Sakurai is being called by Umera. She asks Sakurai to check the documents that she has prepared with the recent meeting proposal, but Sakurai says to her that it feels to her as if it might not go to the higher-ups. This makes Umera sad, as she has grinded her ass off for this document. Sakurai points the mistake to her, and Umera asks her if she could help her too, but she straight out says no and leaves. The gossip is that she is just like that. She pinpoints the mistakes and dumps it back without helping an inch. Sakurai is a 33-year-old fine woman working at an advertising agency, and since she is quite good at her work, she receives a lot of praise. But she is used to hearing a lot that she is cool but cold. She really knows that this is what they talk about her. Now in the cafe, she is voicing the crisis with her friend, thinking that maybe she should have helped Umera a little. She does want to help them, but the problem is that when she starts, she cannot stop, and this is not good for them. Her friend says to her that she did the right thing, because at her last job she used to do everyone's work, and in the end she collapsed from exhaustion. Actually, the real Sakurai is more of a meddlesome person, just like with stray cats. When someone is in trouble, she wants to help them, but that side of her becomes a downfall for her at work. She was the pushover who would do anyone's work if asked, and even her boss used to scold her that because of her, capable people were not becoming independent. Too much of her kindness annoyed her ex so much that he ended up becoming a freeloader. And later he cheated on her, and they broke up. So now she is trying her best to be that cold baddie. Saori is her best friend who can see her like a mirror, and that is why they are whiny best friends for so long. Saori, trying to cheer Sakurai, shows the latest new promos of her favorite band. This is the five-boy idol band that is famous at its peak these days, led by their cool, handsome center, Seo. Their faces are top tier, but at the same time their dances and singing are amazing. Their songs, composed by the fan-favorite member Sue, dominate the charts with every release. But it looks like Sakurai does not know much about it, so Saori says to her that she better keep up with the news, as she is in charge of their new advertising project. But Sakurai thinks that there are too many handsome men, so she gives this task to her juniors, as they are too pretty for her to even look at them. But Saori insists that if it were her, she would definitely not have let this chance slip away to meet them. Basically, she is a dying great fan of the group Wings. She keeps on yapping about how good this boy band is. She even suggests Sakurai to find something to obsess over too. As if she is able to do so, she might be able to stop worrying about pointless stuff. Sakurai thinks that may be later. That night, she is walking back home again. Getting late, Sakurai plans to go home and take a bath before sleeping. She starts to think if she really should have someone to obsess over. Right now, she only has her tree pet, and it would be better if she could have gotten a cat, but her building does not allow cats. Suddenly, she sees a person lying on the floor. She wonders why this guy is lying in front of her place. The mysterious guy opens his eyes. Their eyes meet, and she notes that his eyes are just like cat eyes. She starts to blush when this guy asks her if she is not going to take him in. She is like, what the hell does this even mean? When suddenly this guy starts to cough. She asks him if he is feeling all good, but it does not seem like that. His cold is getting worse, and he might not be okay at all. She checks his temperature. When this guy says that her hands feel soft, she starts to panic, wondering what she should do, as it is not like she can leave him here like this. She asks him if he can tell her where he lives, and if there is anyone that she can contact, but he tells her that he has nowhere to go. He would not mind if she could lend her bed to him for just one day. He is all pouting when she is about to turn him down, but the staring eyes of the people around her make her take him in for one day. While this catboy grins more at her place, she scolds him with the medicine. That is when he tells her that his name is Aoi. Now that she looks at him, he has quite a good face. He is definitely what you call a pretty boy. She thinks that he must be around 20 and might have just run away from his house. She thinks that it would be better if she contacts the police to get him back to his family. But Aoi breaks the bomb for her that he is being chased. She gets all worried to know this, wondering if he is in some drug guild or what. He says to her while coughing that he knows she must be suspicious about him, but he is a good kid. She asks him not to force himself to speak and just rest for now. Grabbing her hand, he says to her that he does not want to make a big deal out of this, so she should not call any police or hospitals. She notes that he only has his wallet and his phone, and that they are both trying to avoid any external contact. This means that he must be in some unavoidable condition. She really cannot leave him alone, so she lets him stay as long as he gets better. She is like all he needs to do is rest right now, so she will go and get some cold towels for him and some painkillers. Aoi says that he is going to give his cold to her, but she is like no, she is going to take some precautions. But what exactly does he mean when he leans and, putting his finger between them, he kisses her and thanks her, making her finally convinced that she has picked some troublesome kid. 2 days later, she is in the lift, all zoning out, when her junior tells her that they got to their floor. The staff talk with each other that Sakurai has been acting off these days. They think that it seems like something personal must be going on in her life. Sakurai is sitting when she thinks of Aoi. His condition is getting all good, but that finger kiss scene will not leave her head. The faint smell of cigar from his mouth to her seems like it is going to take over her whole body. Before coming to the office, she told him that she is going to come back late, and he thanks her for all this. It might be the first time someone has wished thank you to her, and she feels really happy. Now, walking back home, she thinks that his cold must be gone down by now, and he will be going back soon. Sakurai announces that she is home after what feels like a long day away from the apartment. Aoi welcomes her back with a warm smile and asks if she wants to eat first or take a bath, or maybe she wants him instead. Sakurai becomes very flustered at his bold suggestion, her cheeks turning red. But Aoi smiles playfully and tells her he is just kidding around with her. He asks how that super cliché welcome was, clearly enjoying her reaction. Sakurai remains flustered as Aoi wonders aloud if he caught her completely off guard with his teasing. Sakurai asks if he is sure he is okay and how he is feeling now after being sick. Aoi tells her he is fine. The fever has gone away completely and he feels totally healthy again. Sakurai says that is such a relief to hear. Sakurai notices something different about him and suddenly asks him why he is wearing that particular apron. Aoi looks down at the pink fabric and says he borrowed it because he is cooking dinner for them. He asks if that is not allowed as he looks at her with a slight frown, wondering if he overstepped. Sakurai exclaims that it is totally fine and he should not worry about it. Sakurai thinks to herself that actually she was a bit surprised earlier when she first saw him. She did not expect such a cool guy to wear a bright pink apron while welcoming her home so casually. Sakurai thinks to herself that maybe she is starting to understand Saori more when she falls for a cool guy who has unexpected sides to him. Aoi apologizes by saying sorry for taking her bed while he had a fever. She probably could not rest properly right because of him being there. He tells her he will give her a nice massage later to make up for it. Sakurai tells him not to worry about it at all because she is completely fine. Aoi says but she really helped him a lot when he was sick, and she is honestly a lifesaver, so as a thank you he has prepared something special. Aoi gestures to several dishes he has made and tells her to please enjoy the food he prepared. Sakurai looks completely shocked and asks if he actually made all of this food by himself. Aoi smiles proudly and says yeah, he used ingredients from the fridge without asking permission first, but he made sure not to touch anything that looked expensive or special. He also took the time to wash and hang the sheets and the bed covers to dry. Sakurai asks if he is telling her he cleaned her entire room too, because it actually looks way cleaner than it did this morning. Aoi says yeah, he did that earlier while she was out, but he made sure not to touch her personal stuff so she does not need to worry about her privacy. He also watered that small bonsai plant sitting by the window. Aoi says that plant looks really cute, does it not? As he admires the little tree. He pulls the chair out for Sakurai like a gentleman and says okay, she needs to come sit down because she needs to eat before everything gets cold and loses its taste. Sakurai says, but then holds back her words and simply says they should eat together. Aoi looks at her carefully while she eats the food he prepared and asks if it tastes good to her. Sakurai joyfully says it is super delicious and better than she expected. Aoi says that is such a relief to hear from her. Sakurai thinks to herself that honestly she was a bit surprised too. because it turns out Aoi is a guy with max-level household skills, which is low-key fire and impressive. Now that she thinks about it more, she thought he was the type to cause trouble and be messy. It has been a really long while since she has eaten food that was made by someone else with such care. Aoi gently touches her face and tells her to eat a lot, okay, because she needs to keep her strength up. Sakurai gets quiet when she becomes flustered at his touch, as she says, thanks, softly. The scene cuts to both of them washing the dishes together in comfortable silence. Sakurai thanks him again for the amazing meal and says she did not expect him to be so incredibly good at housework and cooking. Aoi laughs it off casually and says other people have told him that same thing too. Sakurai asks curiously if he actually likes cooking as a hobby. Aoi thinks to himself for a moment and says he does not hate it, he guesses it is okay. Well, he has kind of always had to do it out of necessity rather than choice. Sakurai says oh she sees, understanding that there might be more to his story. Sakurai gets a sudden thought and she exclaims while hitting her head lightly, wait, just a second here. Why are they casually chatting while doing the dishes together, like they are some kind of domestic couple or something? Sakurai says, Aoi, thanks so much for helping her out even though he just recovered from being sick, in that case she should probably. Sakurai gets cut off by a loud alarm beeping, indicating that the bath water is ready. Aoi says, the bath is all set and ready to go. He will take care of cleaning up the rest, so she should go ahead and relax in the warm water. Sakurai says, but she feels like she should help him finish. Aoi asks teasingly, or maybe she would like to take a bath together with him instead. Sakurai gets extremely flustered and says that she will definitely bath alone. Thank you very much. Aoi laughs it off, saying okay, he totally gets it and was just messing with her. Sakurai thinks to herself this is really bad, because she thinks she is getting completely swept up by his relaxed pace and charm. Maybe it is because she has been taking care of him all this time that she feels like she can let her guard down around him so easily. But still, he really does seem quite used to dealing with girls and knowing what to say, which is kinda sus if she is being honest. As the older one here, she definitely needs to be more firm and composed around him. Later, Aoi carefully dries her hair with a hairdryer as he asks if that feels good and comfortable. Sakurai says yeah, it feels really nice, to which Aoi says he is glad she is enjoying it. Sakurai says she originally wanted to take care of him while he was sick, but now it is completely the other way around, so she is sorry about that role reversal. Aoi tells her not to feel that way at all, and asks if she generally prefers taking care of others rather than being taken care of herself. Sakurai says well, she has always been that kind of person since she was young. She feels much happier when she can make others smile and feel good, rather than receiving things for herself. Aoi says heh with interest, to which Sakurai looks at him and smiles warmly and says, but because of that giving nature, she sometimes ends up on the losing side of situations, so she tries to be careful when she can recognize it happening. Sakurai goes on by saying Aoi, about what they talked about earlier today, now that he is completely healthy and recovered, does that mean he will have to leave her apartment? Aoi puts his hairdryer down carefully and hugs her gently from behind, his arms wrapping around her. Aoi asks if she really wants to kick him out now that he is better. Aoi says, hey Sakurai, yesterday she said she wishes she could have a cute cat to keep her company, right? Sakurai stutters nervously as she asks if he actually heard her say that private thought. Aoi says, yeah, he definitely heard her. Then he tells her with a smile that he will be her cat instead. Sakurai asks what he just said, not believing what she heard. Aoi smiles warmly and says yeah, because he honestly does not have anywhere else to go right now, so please adopt him and take good care of him. In return, Aoi gently pushes her toward the bed and says the parts of her heart that have not been fulfilled all this time, he promises he will make absolutely sure to fulfill them all for her completely, and makes love for her. And a man lies sprawled on the floor while Aoi stands over him with a cold expression. Sakurai calls out in confusion, wondering what happened here. Aoi looks down at the man and asks him coldly what he did to Harune, his voice carrying a dangerous edge. The story goes back a little in time to explain how they reached this tense moment. A few days after she started living together with Aoi in her apartment, Sakurai looks at her watch to check the time and then spots Aoi waiting for her as she approaches. She calls out that she is here and that she can see him from a distance. A girl nearby asks Aoi if he is free and available to hang out. Aoi tells her flatly that he is not free at all. The other girl persists and asks if he wanted to drink with her sometime instead. Sakurai thinks to herself that he is clearly being hit on by this random girl who does not know he is taken. Aoi spots Sakurai approaching and says welcome back Sakurai with a warm smile. Sakurai stutters nervously and says she is back home. The girl realizes what is happening and says so that is why he was waiting here, he was waiting for a woman to arrive. Sakurai observes that he is quite famous around here, and that Aoi is basically like an idol with his good looks. Aoi becomes quiet for a moment, and asks Sakurai curiously if she likes idols very much. Sakurai says although she has friends that are completely head over heels for them, she personally does not really like them that much at all. Aoi thinks to himself about her answer, and then holds her hand gently, and says she mentioned she wanted to do some shopping, right? He asks if they should go together now. Sakurai says okay, but a man who has been listening nearby hears this entire conversation with great interest. Later at the store, Sakurai asks Aoi if he prefers bread in the morning or rice for breakfast. Aoi thinks to himself carefully and says he guesses rice is better, but he likes bread too though, so either works. Sakurai continues her questions and asks if he prefers spicy food or sweet food. Aoi says he definitely prefers spicy flavors over sweet ones. Sakurai thinks to herself that like this, she has started learning many different things about Aoi since they started living together in the same space. She now knows the food he likes and enjoys, the food he completely hates, what brand of cigarettes he smokes regularly, the way he absolutely loves alcohol, and how he is young but surprisingly good at housework and cleaning. It seems like money is never a problem for him either, which is honestly pretty fire. Sakurai thinks to herself that he sometimes pays for things like this without any hesitation. She originally thought he would become much more dependent on her because he told her that he would be her cat, but that has not happened at all. Sakurai fidgets with her hands and thinks to herself that he is actually a far cry from her ex, who always asked her for money constantly. She gets his image in her head and wonders to herself if Aoi is what they call the perfect man in every way. Sakurai blushes deeply and says to herself that there is another thing she has become convinced of recently. She notices him reading messages on his phone, asking what he is doing, saying they miss him, and asking if he wants to come by their place. Sakurai thinks to herself, damn, he is definitely a playboy with many options. She wonders how many messages like this he gets in a single day. He also acted completely indifferent earlier when he was being hit on by that girl. She guesses he has already had a lot of fun with different people. Aside from his hobbies and basic interests, Aoi still remains a complete mystery to her in many ways. She does not have any plans to interfere with his other friendships or relationships though. She is just a girlfriend by name after all, and she promised herself that she would not pry deeper into his personal circumstances or past. Aoi, says Sakurai questioningly. Sakurai stutters and asks what is wrong. Aoi says she has been spacing out completely, so what is up with her? Sakurai says, she was just thinking about how he is totally different from her ex in every possible way. The last person she dated was way too nosy and controlling, and he depended on her completely for his lifestyle and money needs. Aoi looks down as Sakurai says so she is really relieved with a big genuine smile on her face. She tells him that she is truly happy that she is living with Aoi now. Aoi stays silent for a long moment but then pats her head gently saying it is because she is so kind, Sakurai, that he ends up wanting to do his best for her. Sakurai says Aoi but gets cut off when Aoi suddenly kisses her softly. Aoi says she already has a lover now so he does not want her to be thinking about other guys at all. Sakurai says Aoi is like a jealous cat that wants all the attention to himself. Aoi says he definitely is exactly that. He is her cat so she should give him all her attention. Okay, no one else matters. Sakurai thinks to herself, but he himself clearly has connections with other girls based on those messages. Sakurai says Aoi they cannot do this here as he kisses her more passionately. Sakurai says she has not taken a bath yet so she feels gross. Aoi says he does not care about that at all, besides she is the one sticking her tongue out to him first, is she not? Later, Sakurai's friend asks if something good happened to her recently. Sakurai says, not understanding the question. The friend says she was complaining about being lonely not a long time ago. Lately she looks much more lively than before. Or maybe sparkly is a better word. Sakurai blushes as the friend says anyway. She looks like she is on cloud 9 constantly. The friend asks if she got a boyfriend or found a new favorite person. Sakurai says, trailing off nervously. Sakurai thinks to herself, she obviously cannot exactly tell anyone that she picked up a random guy on a whim and started living with him in her apartment. She absolutely needs to lie about this situation right now. Sakurai says a cat, she started taking care of a stray cat recently. Her friend says a cat sounds really nice, she should show her a photo of the cute animal. Sakurai panics internally and says, He is very camera shy and does not let her take a photo of him at all, unfortunately. The friend looks confused and asks what she means by camera shy exactly. Well, it is good that she got something to distract herself from loneliness, and her skin looks way better than before, does it not? Sakurai says, ah. She wonders if it is because she is always playing with the cat and taking care of him. Sakurai thinks to herself, but to think that her friend would notice the changes so easily. Nourishing the heart really has its own wonders and effects. The friend says, a cat, huh? It sounds really nice to have her favorite companion in the same room. She mentions that Wing's album release has been postponed, and she wants to have a new supply of Sayo merchandise. Sakurai says she really likes them, huh? Referring to her idol obsession. Aoi messages Sakurai that he is cleaning up a pot that has boiled over badly, so sorry he cannot pick her up today. Sakurai responds that she got it and understands completely. Sakurai thinks to herself that she should come back quickly and help him with the mess. A man suddenly says Sakurai from behind her. Sakurai thinks to herself, this voice sounds familiar. She looks back and says Takuya in surprise. They end up sitting at a dinner table together, and Sakurai says, it has been a while since they saw each other. She honestly thought they would never meet each other again after their breakup. Takuya says, yeah, he thought so too, but here they are. Sakurai asks what brings him here today and what he is up to. Takuya says that he will get straight to the point without wasting time. Takuya brings out a small ring box and Sakurai gets that completely shocked look on her face. Takuya asks seriously if she will not fix their broken relationship with him through marriage. Sakurai exclaims in complete disbelief, marriage? Are you serious right now? Sakurai feels quite startled by his sudden proposal, as Takuya continues speaking seriously, asking why they do not start over with marriage in mind this time. Meanwhile, Aoi looks at the time on his phone and notices that Sakurai is running late from her usual schedule. He is already waiting at the station where they agreed to meet. He wonders to himself if something unexpected happened to delay her. Sakurai stares at Takuya in disbelief and asks him now, after all this time has passed, after all this time, what does he actually mean by marriage? She reminds him that he cheated on her, and that is exactly why they broke up in the first place. Takuya says he knows what he did wrong, and after that messy breakup, he cut ties with the other woman too. He finally realized how much Sakurai had been supporting him emotionally and financially all along. He tells her that she is someone he honestly cannot live without in his life. Sakurai asks him if he really thinks she would be happy to hear those words from him now. Takuya says that is not what he means at all. Sakurai thinks to herself bitterly, then what is she to him? Just his convenient sugar mama who pays for everything. She feels too ashamed to admit out loud that this is partly true about their past relationship. Takuya says he figured she would not believe him right away, which is totally understandable. He tells her he is working seriously now at a friend's company and has been putting in real effort. He decided he would come see her only after he had saved up enough money and bought her a proper ring. He asks if she cannot see at least a little bit that he has genuinely changed his ways for the better. Sakurai thinks to herself that for Takuya to go that far and actually buy a ring shows some effort. Takuya continues by saying they are both at a good age now for marriage, and since they both know each other's good and bad sides completely, he thinks they could definitely make it work if they got married and tried again. Sakurai thinks to herself, make it work, as if their relationship was just some broken appliance. She clenches her glass tightly as she says to herself, does he not think about how deeply he hurt her back then? The betrayal and pain he caused still lingers in her heart. Sakurai says thank you, she understands how he feels and appreciates him buying her a ring and everything, Takuya. Takuya looks hopeful and asks then, will she consider it? Sakurai says but she is truly sorry about this. She already has a boyfriend now who treats her well. Sakurai thinks to herself, even if their relationship is only in name and not completely real. Sakurai says, well, goodbye. She is genuinely glad he seems to be doing well for himself these days. Takuya gets up from his chair, exclaiming her name desperately as Sakurai leaves the restaurant without looking back. Sakurai thinks to herself as she walks away that she never expected Takuya to come see her like this. And with an actual engagement ring too, which must have cost him money. When they first started dating years ago, he really was a kind and caring person who made her laugh. She thought maybe someday she would end up with him permanently. She even pictured their future together in her mind. For just a brief moment when she saw him today, she thought maybe he had gone back to being the Takuya from those early days, and she let herself hope for something that could never be. She thought she was completely over him and their failed relationship. Sakurai hears Aoi calling her name from behind. Sakurai turns around and says Aoi with surprise, what is he doing here when he said he could not pick her up today? Aoi says he was genuinely worried because she was running late from her usual time. Sakurai. He asks if something bad happened to delay her. Sakurai says, she just happened to run into someone from her past and ended up having some tea together, so sorry she did not message him about the change in plans. Aoi says, as long as she is safe and unharmed, that is all that matters. So they should go home now. Sakurai says, yeah, she is ready to leave. Takuya, hiding in the shadows nearby, watches them together and says to himself, so that is why she turned him down, acting all high and mighty even though he was willing to change for her. She is really hopeless, letting some young punk take advantage of her kindness like that. He will just have to make her wake up and see reality. Sakurai thinks to herself that her relationship with Takuya was finally over and buried in the past, or so she thought, but it turns out she was the only one who felt that way about their breakup. The next day when Sakurai is walking alone to work, Takuya suddenly appears and says Sakurai, startling her completely. Sakurai looks at him in confusion as he says please just let him talk to her one more time about their situation. Sakurai tells him firmly that she has nothing more to say to him at all as she tries walking away quickly. The next day, Takuya approaches her again exclaiming Sakurai and trying to get her attention. And the day after that, the same thing happens again. She gets 20 missed calls from Takuya on her phone, which is honestly low-key sus behavior. Sakurai thinks to herself, this is definitely looking like a very bad pattern that could escalate. Sakurai gets home after another stressful day and sighs deeply with exhaustion. She thinks to herself she really does not feel like going to work tomorrow, wondering what if he is waiting to ambush her somewhere again on her route. Aoi approaches her and says, Sakurai, here is her lunch that he prepared. Sakurai blushes and asks if this is really made specifically for her. Aoi says yeah, she has seemed a little down lately, so he wanted to do something nice. Sakurai says thank you so much, she is off to work now. Aoi smiles warmly and says have a good day at the office. After she leaves, he frowns to himself with concern. As Sakurai works at her computer during the day, she thinks to herself that Takuya's behavior is definitely escalating beyond normal boundaries. At this rate, he might actually become a dangerous stalker who will not leave her alone. Sakurai thinks to herself she absolutely has to do something about this situation before it starts causing serious trouble for Aoi as well. At night when Sakurai is walking alone through the quiet streets, she thinks to herself that she probably did not turn him down firmly enough during their conversation. Next time they meet, she will be absolutely resolute and clear about her feelings. No room for misunderstanding. Suddenly, Sakurai gets snatched from behind and tossed roughly into a car by Takuya, who has been waiting for her. He shuts the door quickly as the driver speeds off into the night. Takuya screams at Sakurai, asking why she keeps running away from him when he is trying to talk to her properly. She asks Aoi why he is even near this gummy guy, but breaking the window with this is, and also the first time he has used this hammer, and he never knew that this 100 yen shop sold these. Her ex lashes at him that if he has even the slightest idea that this is the rental car whose window he broke, but Aoi, taking him out, throws him away. Her ex shouts at him what he thinks he is doing, but Aoi, stiff in his stance, notices that Sakurai was not feeling good for quite a while. So he kept a watchful eye on her, and it turns out that this little prick was irritating her and even tried to shove her into his rental car. Her ex lashes out that he was just trying to work out things with her and get back together, but Sakurai shouts that he was not doing that. Her ex mocks her to shut up, saying she does not need to come in this, but Aoi snatches the phone from him and says that judging from the pictures he is taking, he should already be sure that up until now they are already together. He sees that this bastard has saved the pictures in the cloud, so Aoi deletes the whole account. Her ex gets super angry and rakes out all his frustration on Sakurai, shouting that it is all her fault. Ever since he has started getting involved with her, his life is this miserable. But Aoi makes fun of his flip-flop lame attitude, and he starts to flip his hands under his feet. Sakurai asks him that they should just leave, and Aoi, leaving it, makes it clear to her ex that if he ever tries to hurt his Sakurai again, he will not let him off this easily, and she does not mean to see that pathetic ex anymore. Aoi is sure that after this much of a threat, he will not cling back to tease her. He is sad that she should have told him if she was going through something, but she smiles that she did not want to cause trouble to him, yet she is sorry that it turned out like this. Aoi says that she is like this, always trying to make things right, and this makes her ex act like he got the upper hand. She starts to think that how her ex said that it was all her fault, that his life is rotting. She thinks that what if it is? What if her life or anyone else's Anything that goes wrong is supposed to be set on her shoulders as fault. Seeing her like this, Aoi asks her to look at him and assures her that her ex's life fell apart because of his own issues, and she does not need to carry anyone else's burden, and he asks her to not let it ever get her down. This makes her cry because he gets her. She smiles at him because every time he fills her heart. Later we see that they are sleeping together. Sakurai is the first one to wake up. She looks at him, all shocked, thinking that she never thought he would go this far. She wonders if he is from some gang to be strong enough to give such good threats. She shakes it off, thinking that she must be overthinking, and beside that, no matter what kind of man he is, in her eyes his value is not going to go down. Finally, he is awake, and she tells him that she just woke up. Aoi pulls her in to sing a lullaby to her. His little hums and hugs make her feel safe, and so sleep seems to return back to her life. Yet it seems that outside the building, a man with glasses and a hat is looking at the picture of Sakurai as he smiles, that it looks like she lives here. The next day at the office, she is more interactive with her coworkers and helps them. Even her juniors are impressed, thinking that it seems like she is in a good mood. Maybe it is because in the workplace since then, her ex did not try to show up to her again. She also hears a rumor that actually he was trying to get into business with his friends, but it flopped, and he needed money. She cannot believe that if he was thinking of getting money from her like in the old times. But anyway, she is glad that things are returning back to her peace. Even her work is going all good, and this is all thanks to Aoi. As she is walking, she feels that someone is following her. She looks back to see, but there is no one, so she wonders if her nerves are just on edge. But it is true. She is indeed being followed by that handsome man. She is finally home, and when she is about to close the door, the mysterious guy comes in between and asks if this is Sakurai's house. She is terrified to wonder how the hell he even knows her name, and he even knows about Aoi. Just at that time, Aoi comes from the back, asking her if she is all good, but then he notes that Eru is also here, which makes her think that it seems like Aoi knows this guy. She asks him if Eru is the one who is after him, but from Eru crying and sobbing to see Aoi after so long, it does not seem like that. Now they are all seated, and she serves Eru the coffee. He asks her that she can speak casually with him, and now that she is looking up close at him, he is rather handsome. Aoi asks Eru how the hell he even managed to get to this place, and Eru tells him that he actually hired a private investigator to track him down, and then they reported to him that he is living with some girl named Sakurai, so he came here to look for it. He gets all sad, asking why did he remove the GPS that he downloaded in Aoi's phone. Aoi shushes that, so it was him who did that. Eru is sad that he could have at least told him where he is. Sakurai is taken back with all this conversation, while Eru is still throwing tantrums about how Aoi ignores his texts. But from this it seems that Eru does not come to drag Aoi back, but rather, he genuinely cares about him. She asks them if they are friends, but this word alone makes the two of them shocked. Eru tries to tell her that they are not friends, and they are. Yet before he can even complete this, Aoi puts his hand on him to keep him shut, making Sakurai have second guesses about their secret relationship. Aoi tells her that they are actually childhood friends with a little love-hate relationship, and Eru says to him not to tell her that she has not realized it yet, but she is clearly clueless about what he is trying to say. He says that Aoi does not show his face this much, so it is fine, but he cannot believe that she also does not recognize him too. Eru is in denial to see that she does not know him. Aoi scuffs him to stop pretending like the whole world knows him, and on top of that he is barefaced right now, so he looks nothing like in the pictures. Sakurai assures that even without makeup he looks kind of hot, but he shouts that he does not need a woman defending him who just crushed his pride. She thinks that he must be a model for having this good look, but Eru, however, wonders that if she does not know Aoi, then why does she let him stay here? She says that it is a long story, and Aoi also makes it clear to Eru that if he is here to take him back, or if someone else sent him to take him back, he is not going no matter what. Eru says that without him, they will not be able to do that, but Aoi sighs that he is just tired of living under their direction, and he does not even feel like making anything. Tonight now he is Sakurai's pet cat, but Eru is all stunned that the guy who does not let anyone touch him is clinging to Sakurai, and how the hell she was even able to seduce him, but she shouts that it is more like the opposite. Eru says, throwing another tantrum, that he does not want him to go back as they just reunited after so long. They are like monsters. So Eru is sleeping on the bed, and the poor couple are sleeping on the floor. Aoi is sorry to her, saying he is really sorry that Eru is selfish and took the bed all for himself, but Sakurai says that she is happy to have him over, as with him, she was able to see the chatty side of Aoi. He smirks at her, asking what that is supposed to mean, and he gets on top of her. He is about to kiss her when she tries to stop him, but Eru scoffs at them, asking if they could please not flirt when they have a guest over. They stay like they did not do anything, but he shouts that he surely heard their tongues click, so he knows they were making out. He knows. At night, these two boys are smoking off at the balcony when Aoi asks Eru if the boss knows that he is here. Eru says that he did not tell anyone, not even the other members, and using the detective was his own choice. He really wants him to come back, but he also does not want to force him if he does not feel like coming back. Yet, at the same time, he does not want to sing anyone's song except the ones written by Aoi. He then asks if Aoi has not told anything about him to Sakurai. Aoi says that he is just a source of comfort for her, for now her pet cat and her lover, but Eru thinks that she is rather a pitiful person to have Aoi take advantage of her. But again, it is not really surprising, as he got stuck with anyone for that long, and if you look at it, she is also not the type of woman he usually dates. He then asks him if he has got some special feelings for her, like thinking about all the encounters that had with them. Aoi says to Eru that she is just an easy target, and that is all. Meanwhile, inside the room, Sakurai is awake. She wonders what they are talking about. She thinks that if she would have pushed a little, she would have gotten the details, but she hesitated because she was able to see that Aoi was hesitant. She would be lying if she says that she was not curious at all, but again, she is his girlfriend only in name, and she does not even know how far she is allowed to step into his life. And just like that, she drifts into her calmed sleep. When she wakes up the next morning, she sees that these two boys are sleeping beside her. More only Aoi. Yet these beauties are also pretty handsome. While Sakurai has already lost it all, Eru is about to leave since his taxi is here. Aoi glares at him, silently telling him not to come back here. But Sakurai is still flattered over the fact of waking up with two handsome men, and she thinks that her best friend would have loved this. But suddenly, thinking about her best friend, it comes to her that Wings also has a member with blonde hair, just like Eru. She brushes it off, thinking that there are a lot of blondes. Eru says to Aoi that he will not tell anyone about this, but Aoi needs to remember that he cannot run away forever. And on top of that, he whispers to him that the girl Yuna he was messing with is clearly pissed off. Finally, they see off this stormy wind. Sakurai goes, saying that she will make some tea for them. At that moment, Aoi notes that Yuna has texted him, warning that if he does not meet her, she is going to expose him. Aoi is 23 years old. Not long ago, he ran away from his career, crashing 2 of 3 major ties to different female friends, until one day, he caught a cold at the worst possible time, and he collapsed. Along that way came Sakurai, who picked him up, and now he is her pet cat and lover. It turns out to be pretty comfortable. He always wanted to avoid trouble, but here he is, because he needs to handle this mess too. Aoi enters the club, and he starts looking for Yuna. When he finally spots her, she scoffs at him that he finally is here to meet her. Aoi walks into a private club and spots a familiar girl sitting alone at a corner table. He approaches and says Yuna in greeting. Yuna looks up at him with frustration and says he finally agreed to meet with her. After all this time, Eloi. She asks why he did not reply back to any of her messages at all recently. He was probably playing around with other girls anyway, as usual. She asks if Aoi's number 1 is still Yuna, right? Hoping for reassurance. Aoi thinks to himself what a complete pain this conversation is going to be. Aoi reflects internally that Yuna is a member of a large idol group that has some recognition. That said, her agency is quite small and weak, so she is basically no different from an underground idol trying to make it big. After they dated casually for a little while, she started acting like she was his official girlfriend. Aoi asks her directly if he ever actually said that she was his number 1 or girlfriend. He tells her that everyone is going down together in this situation. This was just playing around casually, so there is no number 1 anymore between them. Yuna looks shocked at his blunt words as he continues saying he is not in the mood to go through the hassle of playing around with multiple people anymore. So he wants to end things today with her too, no hard feelings. Yuna exclaims desperately about those photos she has of them together. She asks if he is really okay with them being exposed to the public and ruining his reputation. Aoi says she can do as she likes with the photos, but his face has not been clearly revealed in any of them. People will probably say the photos are not credible evidence, right? Besides, the difference in their current popularity levels is absolutely huge. He thinks she would get flamed online as doing it purely for clout and attention, and the scandal would end instantly. Yuna makes a pissed-off face and says she does not really want to do something that desperate and pathetic, but Aoi is toying with her genuine feelings for him. Aoi sighs deeply and says honestly, she just wants to be connected with him for benefits, right? Yuna gets startled by his direct accusation as he continues saying things like making connections with a big entertainment company through him, or dating that popular artist so she can brag to people around her about her impressive boyfriend. Yuna starts to say that is not true, but then stays quiet, unable to deny it completely. Aoi says, oh wait, or maybe she was hoping that he would write a special song modulated after her and their relationship. Was she expecting something that romantic and special between them? As Aoi laughs with a cruel grin spreading across his face. Yuna slaps him hard across the face, which is honestly low-key deserved. Aoi thinks to himself, whatever. All the other girls he has dated were exactly like that too. They all had the same ulterior motive of expecting something valuable in return for dating him. He has gotten completely used to seeing through people's fake intentions by now. Yuna stays silent for a long moment, and then asks quietly if he ever even liked her, even for just a moment during their time together. Aoi stays silent and then says she wants to know the truth. He is actually really bad at writing love songs because only shallow words and boring sounds come to his mind. This is probably because he has never truly fallen in love with anyone in his entire life. Yuna looks down in complete despair and walks away from the table without another word. Aoi thinks to himself that to not feel anything at all after making a girl have that heartbroken expression on her face, he thinks he is absolute trash, even to himself. The scene cuts to a man walking alongside Sakurai as he says Sakurai thanks for accompanying him to the important dinner meeting tonight with those clients. Sakurai says no thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for introducing her to those influential people in the industry. Besides, she is not familiar with fancy restaurants that can be used for entertaining clients properly, so it was really helpful to learn. The man laughs good-naturedly and says she will probably be in similar situations like this more often in the future, so it will not hurt to know the proper etiquette. He suggests they should hit one more place while they're already out, maybe for drinks. Sakurai says no thank you. She thinks she will stop here for the evening. The man waves goodbye and says, well then, have a good night. Sakurai bows down politely and says good work today to wrap up their professional interaction. As Sakurai walks toward the train station, she spots someone sitting alone on a park bench. It is Yuna, who appears to be crying quietly. Sakurai thinks to herself that the girl looks really upset about something serious. Sakurai approaches and gives her some tissues, while Yuna continues crying softly. Sakurai asks her gently what is wrong, and if she is hurt somewhere physically, is she okay and safe? Yuna thinks to herself, who is this random stranger bothering her? Yuna says no, she is not injured or anything like that, she is fine, physically. Sakurai says she is glad to hear that, but her face is all wet from tears. So here, she should use her clean handkerchief to dry off. Yuna tells her to please leave her alone, because she has her own handkerchief in her bag. Yuna tries to look through her purse, but realizes she does not have a handkerchief with her at all. Sakurai smiles kindly and says she does not have to return it, just keep it. Yuna says thank you quietly, accepting the gesture. Sakurai sits down on the bench next to her and says she is worried about leaving her alone in this state, so can she stay for a bit? Yuna says she is a bit nosy, is she not, for a complete stranger? Sakurai says she guesses that is just her personality. Did something bad happen tonight? Oh, if she does not want to talk about it, that is totally fine though, she will not pry. Yuna says she just got dumped by a guy she was seeing. Sakurai stays silent and says a breakup, that sounds painful. Yuna says it was nothing that respectable or serious, she was just dating him for convenience and benefits. Sakurai thinks to herself that convenience sounds like a complicated situation. Yuna explains that he was a bit famous in the entertainment industry, and she thought if she dated him, she might make some valuable connections. She thought it would be advantageous for her career. Sakurai thinks to herself that connections probably means she is aiming for success in the entertainment industry herself. Yuna continues saying but he saw through all those ulterior motives she had. And even though it was supposed to be just for convenience, she ended up really liking him as a person. Even though she knew he was a womanizing jerk who played with girls, which is honestly no cap. Getting dumped like this, she feels like such an embarrassing fool who caught feelings. Sakurai says she sees what happened. She has failed at love too, so she really cannot give great advice. If only she could punch that jerk for her instead of just sitting here. Yuna says she is not expecting anything from a stranger. Besides, she already punched him hard before they broke up officially. Sakurai says, "Whoa, that is awesome. She is really strong and stood up for herself. She should have punched her ex too when she had the chance." Yuna sighs and says why is she even talking about this personal stuff with a complete stranger she just met. Sakurai asks if she feels any better getting it off her chest. Yuna smiles genuinely for the first time and says she is really kind, miss. Sakurai waves goodbye with a smile, thinking to herself she is glad that girl quietly got in the taxi safely earlier. But such a young girl having a relationship purely for convenience seems sad. Her relationship with Aoi is kind of like that too, just convenience and mutual benefit. If she starts wanting more than that from him, she will probably get hurt too emotionally. Sakurai sighs as she realizes the parallel and then spots Aoi in the distance walking toward her. Sakurai releases a deep sigh as she stands there, but then her eyes suddenly spot Aoi in the distance. Aoi looks up and notices her presence, asking what Sakurai is doing in this particular place. Sakurai explains that she was just at a business dinner for work and happened to be passing through this area. She pauses for a moment and says wait, telling him to hold on for a second. She looks closely at his face and immediately notices something concerning. Sakurai points out that Aoi-kun's cheek appears swollen and asks if something bad happened with her mom. Her voice carries genuine worry and concern as she examines his face more carefully. Aoi responds casually, saying that he just got into a bit of trouble with an acquaintance and it's nothing too serious to worry about. Sakurai tells him to wait right here, because if he presses a wet handkerchief on the swollen area, it will definitely feel much better. She quickly checks through her bag, searching for the item she needs. After a moment, she says with frustration that she gave her handkerchief away earlier and clicks her tongue in annoyance. Aoi reassures her that it's nothing serious, so she really doesn't need to worry about it at all. More importantly, Aoi mentions that Harune-chan wasn't she with someone on the street earlier today. Sakurai asks if he happened to see what was going on during that time. She explains that there was a crying girl on the street and she couldn't just leave her alone in that state, so she stayed with her for a little bit to offer some comfort. Aoi asks if she means she actually spoke to a complete stranger on the street. Sakurai confirms that, yeah, she did exactly that. Aoi thinks to himself that, so Sakurai didn't realize that the one meeting with Yuna was actually him. Still, Sakurai really can't ignore someone who is in trouble or distress. He guesses she could call it her natural nature, but she does these things with no expectation of return or reward. How can she go that far for other people? He wonders internally. Even though that's exactly the kind of thing that people often take advantage of in this world. Aoi tells her that she's such a busybody, always getting involved in other people's problems. Sakurai says she told him that she got worried, thinking he might be hurt or in pain. Even that girl she helped told her that she was being nosy and interfering. The girl said she'd been dumped by her boyfriend, so all Sakurai could really do was listen to her story and offer some support. Sakurai looks at Aoi-kun seriously and says he shouldn't make girls cry too much, okay? She's giving him genuine advice about how to treat people better. Aoi stands there completely in shock at her words, not moving or responding right away. As he thinks to himself, yeah, she's absolutely right about that. He thinks to himself that he really is complete trash for the way he treats people. Aoi slowly reaches out and holds her hand, then gently puts it on his face. He tells her that they should stay like this for a while because her hand feels really nice against his skin. Sakurai. Aoi thinks to himself about the situation. For a girl he made cry earlier, Sakurai, who had absolutely nothing to do with any of it, looked sad, saddened, and genuinely pained by the whole thing. Seeing that expression on her face made him want to be a little more of a gentleman when he's in front of her.